Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's talk about ambition versus humble. Welcome back, everybody, to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and continuing to, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, if you take a moment to hit that like button, maybe the rating, give it a star. If you're on a podcast platform, a rating would be absolutely helpful, and a review would be phenomenal. If you have found any value whatsoever in my content and me continuing to talk about these different aspects of leadership and sales and marketing and personal development and all the types of things that spring into my heart to talk about during these podcasts, I would much appreciate it. It helps the channel grow and meet the needs of more people that may be struggling with this particular issue. I want to talk today about the concept of ambition versus what seemingly is the contrary, which is being humble, which is humbleness, this attitude of like, I'm very humble. And there is a very common thought process, a very common mindset that you cannot be humble and be ambitious at the same time. You cannot have an ambition for something, but also be humble, that they are mutually exclusive to each other. And there's also, especially in certain circles and cultures and communities, and I would argue that the Christian, the Judeo-Christian, traditional Judeo-Christian circle is that being humble is way more important than being ambitious. And I would say, certainly in cases that may be true, but also depending on how you view ambition, right? Ambition is given more often than not a very negative connotation, in the sense of, I will cut down anybody, stab at the back of anyone in my way. I will lie, cheat, steal, degrade, like whatever I have to do to reach my goal. Like he is so ambitious. He will do anything it takes to get there, including breaking the law and trudging on friends and backstabbing, all those things, right? We have a very negative connotation to that word ambition. And of course, it comes a lot, I think, from just our pop culture and movies, and because it creates great drama and all that kind of stuff that we see in movies and TV shows. However, if you look at the definition of ambition, and I've got it here for you. So there's kind of two: a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. Then the second one is desire and determination to achieve success. Now, there is nothing in that definition that says at all costs. There's nothing in it that says on the backs of your peers, or on the backs of your spouse, or on the backs of, whatever. There's nothing that says pushing other people down in order to achieve that success. It really just means that you have got to drive to get after something, to go after something. And really, it is up to you and your own personality, your own character, of how you go about do that. Are you ambitious to the sense that you show up every day, you put in the work, you make the phone calls, you read the books, you write the articles, and you are ambitious because you are determined to have success by the effort of not quitting? Or on the other hand, there are certain people that they are so ambitious, quote unquote ambitious, for their own success and power and desire, that they will absolutely sell out their company. They will absolutely sell out their partners and coworkers, and they will cheat and lie and steal and do probably illegal things in order to achieve what they see as success. Both are ambitious, but one, we need to get away from that common understanding of what that means to have ambition, because ambition is not necessarily a bad thing. You really have to step back and judge that person's character that is trying to achieve that success. Now, on the other hand, humble is not always necessarily a good thing. Having somebody that is humble, I certainly found, so I consider myself a rather humble person, in the sense of I'm not always trying to, make myself known and be the center of attention or anything like that. It kind of goes along with my observer type of nature, but it has absolutely not served me in my career, especially in my military career. I was humble and an observer to the point of people hardly even knew I was there, hardly even remembered me, and certainly did not think of me when it came time to, offer special projects to, or, dole out promotions or anything of that nature, any sort of special accolades or recognition. I was so in the background, and I always, kind of thought of it as, oh, I'm just being humble. Like I'm not here to toot my own horn. I'm not here to make sure that everyone knows who I am. but I erred on the side of hurting myself. Because you can be humble and also ambitious. You can be humble to the sense of appreciative when people recognize you, appreciative and recognizing that you didn't do it yourself, recognizing the efforts of others that contributed to your success. That is a version of being humble that is definitely more beneficial to you and more beneficial to your organization. But the definition of humble is having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Now, I would argue that that should not be you, that you should not have that definition of humble applied to your life because you are important. You should not have a low estimate of your own importance or your own contribution, because I would say that's not being humble. That is being self-derogatory. That is being self-deprecating. That is having a mindset of you're not worthy, you're not good enough. And what another common thing that happens, especially in the kind of personal development space, is this imposter syndrome. And I would argue there's no such thing as imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a lack of confidence and fear of walking into the unknown and the results that you're going to get. So you feel like, oh, I've never done this before, so I feel like an imposter thinking I can talk to people about leadership. I feel like I'm an imposter if I help somebody with their social media because they're my first client. Like, no, you're not an imposter. You have the skills. You just have not stepped into that unknown realm to prove them. Your skills and your confidence is in your belief that you can do it, that your integrity and honesty as you present that offer, maybe for the first time, that in your heart, you will get the results that you are saying you will get. That is not imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you step back and you kind of don't think you'll get the results. Like, hey, you're advertising something, but in your heart, you're like, I don't know that I can do that. That is an imposter syndrome. That is what an imposter means. It's presenting yourself as something you are in fact not, in the sense of what you can provide for your people. Now, you may be feeling this a little bit if you've been thrust into a new position in your workplace, a leadership position. You're like, man, I've never been in charge of anybody. I've never been a leader. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's not imposter syndrome. That's just being unsure of yourself and lacking confidence, lacking the education. And that's what this podcast is here for, is to help people just like you. If you've been thrust into that position with no experience, no training, is to learn these kind of tips and tricks to help you be an effective and confident leader in your organization. But let's get back to this dichotomy between ambition and humble. And I would encourage you to stop thinking of the two as the yin and yang, as the white and black, as the polar opposites of each other. Stop thinking of these things that if somebody's ambitious, then they're not humble, or if somebody is humble, they can't have ambitions and desires to succeed. Because an ideal person has both, is humble about their results, is humble about their activity and their own self-importance, right? They don't teeter towards the end of the spectrum of arrogance or bragging, but they also know what they want. They have their goals and targets, and they are driven to succeed and meet those goals and targets. They have that ambition. And as we switch this about to you and me, how do we create that combination? Like, I am humble in that I am honored that people actually listen to my podcast. I am humbled to the sense that, if I invite somebody to be a guest on my podcast, they pretty much all said yes, say yes. And that people reach out to me to be on my podcast. Like, that is humbling to me. But it is also in meeting with my ambition that I want to grow this podcast and be one of the authorities on leadership in America, in North America and Canada. I want to be, when somebody says, hey, you just got promoted over there, you've never led people, you need to listen to Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Man, he's got some phenomenal tips and some phenomenal guests. And you can shortcut your way to success just by applying some of the principles that he and his guests talk about. Now, I don't think that is bragging. I don't think that is arrogance, but that is my ambition. That is my drive to achieve that success. That is my drive to achieve my goals and targets. And I will do that by showing up every day. I will do that by bringing you amazing guests that you can learn from, and hopefully providing content such as this to help your mindset, help your confidence, and make sure that you are the one building those amazing teams and culture in your workplace. Does that make sense? So I would caution you, judging too quickly on either end of the spectrum. Either somebody is too humble and automatically assuming that they are good, or that somebody is ambitious and automatically assuming they are bad or they have ulterior motives, because that is not always the case. But grain of salt, right? You need to judge people's character. Why are they doing it? What are their actions telling you versus what are their words telling you, and how trustworthy they may be. But that is a whole other concept that we can mayhaps get into later. Again, thank you for listening. If you have not had a chance yet and you're listening in a timely manner to when this was released, please visit VIPLeadershipMastermind.com/founder. We are launching our VIP Leadership Mastermind community, and you can get in on the ground floor at a smoking price, lifetime guaranteed access for $27 a month. So get on the wait list. It is launching on January 3rd and should be open probably for just that week before we close it down and reevaluate how that goes from there. It'll be an amazing community to not only learn, but network with other like-minded professionals and as well, answer questions and all that good stuff. Have a fantastic afternoon, no matter where you're at in the world. Bye.